Hey, my wonderful, wonderful people, a pleasant evening to you. You know, beautiful people, my heart is saddened, and I don't know how people's hearts aren't saddened by the misogyny and the misandrists, or the misogynistic mindsets and the misandrist mindsets that we're having. And for the misogyny, it's simply talking about men hating on women, not necessarily from a sexual standpoint, but from maybe some sort of traumatic experience or experiences that they would have encountered over the long haul, over a certain time with women. And the misandrists, similarly, women who hate on men, not necessarily from a sexual standpoint, but because of the abuse, and the terrible treatment that they would have faced over the long haul, the traumatic experiences that they would have faced over the long haul, or misogyny and the misandrists. It has gotten so chronic that I was listening to, one of the early morning programs on TVJ this morning, and I don't remember the name of the organization, but I've seen the woman who is the president or leader of it, and she was speaking as it relates to the number of women who are being annihilated by our men. They, especially in cases where the woman decides that she's going to leave the man, she's no longer interested in the man, or she knows she boops out the man. For those who don't know what boops mean, for the younger generation, although a lot of the tradition still carries over, but for women who use men, so they take their money, they may give them a little sex, but they know that there is no interest there. In some cases they don't necessarily give them the sex, but they take their money, they allow the man to invest in them, and the man gets nothing in return, which is something that I never ever subscribe to. It's an evil act. It is bad. One of the things that is on the rise is the whole thing about jacket. In comparison to, I think it was, I don't want to call it the wrong country. If it's not South Africa, it's Nigeria. One of those. We're at 34% as it relates to the jacket giving, and I think that country is 30%. And it's a plethora of reasons. Sometimes they get involved with men who are married, or they have other they're in committed relationships, so they can't damage that relationship. Sometimes out of necessity they sleep with a multiplicity of partners, and they're not sure if it is Tom, Dick, or Harry's child. And there are other, I suppose, other reasons. But my wonderful people, if we had followed the blueprint, the best book ever to come on the planet, to be on the planet, I guarantee you, many of our atrocities that we have seen, the girls being annihilated by the men, the girls being abused viciously, rapaciously by the men, would not be so. And also women who are abusers, they may not be as many in terms of the physical, but you do have few cases like that. But in terms of the verbal abuse, or in terms of just treating the man with disdain, would be greatly mitigated. And I'm looking at the book of Titus, and I'm using the Amplified version. And even though the writer was really speaking to Christians, it is expansive, and it also would include non-Christians, because it's principle. It means that if I put lime with water and sugar, or lemon with water and sugar, it automatically becomes lemonade, or some say limeade, although they will still say lemonade where they use the lime. So it says, but as for you, teach the things which are in agreement with sound, solid, right doctrine, which produces men and women of good character, whose lifestyle identifies them as true Christians. So it says, older men, listen, older men, it says now, are to be temperate, dignified, sensible, sound in faith, in love, in steadfastness. So it's like when you would say Christ-like in character. Older women, similarly, are to be reverent in their behavior, because some of you older women, You are far from reverent, honestly. Not malicious, gossips. God, I detest that sort of attitude. I never say I detest the people, the attitude or the behavior. Not malicious gossips, nor addicted to much wine, teaching what is right and good, so that they may encourage the young women. So you're now going into teaching them. You're now the young women's mentors, to tenderly love their husbands, not aggressively, because sometimes women can be so miserable and aggressive. Remember what Proverbs talk about, the woman being like a dripping pipe, that the man prefers to be under the cellar. And I saw it in consecutive chapters. Tenderly loving their husbands and their children, because women can be coarse, and some men too. To be sensible, pure, makers of a home where God is honored, good natured, and subject to their own husbands. In other words, they're not flighty, and fickle. You see them run to this man, that man, and all over the place. They're committed, devoted to their husbands, so that the word of God will not be dishonored, as it just says. In a similar way, urge the young men to be sensible, because, oh my God, I don't think many of our young men are sensible these days, and self-controlled, and to behave wisely, taking life seriously. You say, oh, what is happening with a number of young men? They're digging out and just behaving wacky and wild, as though they're going to be on this planet forever and ever. And in all things for the men to show them to be an example of good works, with purity in doctrine, having the strictest regard for integrity and truth. Men, when you go for tell lie, deceitful. It is so bad. Dignified, sound, and beyond reproach in instruction, so that the opponent of faith, the devil, and the rebellious people will be shamed, having nothing bad to say about us. The world, in Jamaica in particular, they're lacking mentors for the women, mentors for the men. I was on a live and I heard a man demolish women because of his experiences. At no point he took accountability. He never turned the floodlights on himself. He went on about, oh, women are wicked, this, that, and he went on and on and on. On and on and on. And I realized that his emotional intelligence was defective. It was not really intelligent, as well as his IQ, because he was chatting some craziness that even the men had to really laugh and chuckle. Not laugh at him per se, but they couldn't believe the madness. And you have women who, they don't value themselves, because in fairness to them, lack of fathers, solid fathers in the home, create this defect. I did something on it, that men have the ability to build self-esteem in our girls, to let them feel courageous and bold, to know what kind of a man to take and what not to take. And even for the boys, what woman to take and what woman not to take. The misogyny and the misandry or misandrist, it is chronic. When you're scrolling, gone are the days when men would respect women. No, they are lashing out, because what they're saying is that there are too many single parent homes headed by women. There are no men to be the buffer, to show the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin must be shown, because a woman cannot be a father. The father cannot be a mother. That is why God says, honor thy father and thy mother, both work in tandem with each other. Yes, the Bible speaks about a sort of a special love with the mother, when it says, cannot mother's tender love cease towards her child. The power of a mother's love. And I think that is part and parcel why God has allowed most single parent homes to be headed by the woman. Maybe we fare out better, as wacky as we are, you know. But both are needed, both are significant, both are important, but we don't have good mentors. The Jamaican men are horrible, to say the least, not all. And you have some horrible women here as well. Horrible, to say the least. Because they have not had good mentors. Where are the mentors today? Anyway, guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of them lion, please.